What's up everyone, Ninth Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video, and today we are talking about Slowking. Now this Pokemon is pretty niche, has a couple of interesting synergies, but overall is not the greatest right now, mostly due to Rillaboom being such a huge Pokemon in the meta. Grassy Glide just destroys this Pokemon, and so does changing the terrains, and so we really want to be in Psychic terrain for this Pokemon the majority of the time. So Rillaboom is a big threat. But other than that, pretty solid defensive typing, pretty great stats, pretty good ability, like overall, like not bad. Can't be taunted, which is great for a Trick Room setting. And yeah, really good defensive typing. So this Pokemon has some really cool things that it can do, but it does have some shortcomings, and we'll talk about that more throughout the video. So anyway, we are going to be covering a VGC set as well as a single set, as well as options for VGC, and then also speed tiers and damage calcs. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, makes a huge difference. Anyway, Slowking. So water psychic typing is pretty good defensively. Like I said, giving us 6 resistances is pretty solid, and then only 5 weaknesses, which is a good bit of weaknesses, and all of them are pretty relevant. We have Electric Grass, Bug, Ghost, Dark. All are very solid offensive typings. We have things like Dragapult and Cinderace that have access to those moves. Tyranitar, Grass guys. We have Venusaur, Rillaboom. A lot of good Pokemon can hit us for super effective weakness, which is pretty bad. But we also have pretty solid stats across the board, especially as far as our bulk goes. So HP at 95, which is really solid, and then special defense at 110, which is also really strong. So this Pokemon is very defensive, special defensively. And then as far as our offense, or as far as our regular defense, like physical defense, it's at 80, which is pretty average, not great, but not bad. So pretty solid physical bulk for this Pokemon. And then as far as offense goes, pretty low. Special attack at 100, base 100 is not doing much damage, and then speed 30 makes it perfect for Trick Room, which we're only really going to use this Pokemon with Trick Room. Otherwise, it's just not going to cut it. So yeah, pretty basic Pokemon in general. Not bad, not great, but cool. Anyway, that is going to be it for the overview. Let's move on. So VGC set. So our build for VGC ability, we went with Oblivious. So Oblivious, essentially what it does is you can't be taunted, which is like, it also has some other other abilities or other things. It can't be infatuated or immune to intimidate, but those don't really matter very frequently. So it's really just taunt, but we can't be taunted, which means Trick Room will be going off if they don't kill it, which is really good. So we went with the item weakness policy, although there's a lot of different ones you could go with. We went with weakness policy so we can just like max this Pokemon pretty early. Weakness policy proc, activate our own stuff, get really offensive, and this Pokemon's damage output is really good after a weakness policy, as most people would expect. Setting, terrain, weather, ice, it's very good. So I think the Pokemon has some promise being a weakness policy Trick Room sweeper. But, most of the time there will be a better Pokemon to be using. So as far as our other items go, we could also use some form of berry, whether it's, Kasib berry, or even like Wakan or Colbur, whatever you think you're going to run up against the most. We see a lot of Dragapult in the meta, so I definitely just put Kasib down there. But, you could make big, strong cases for just about everything, all of the super effective berries, so yeah, they all could work. And then we also have Leftovers here, just being able to grab back a little bit of HP every turn. We also have moves like Slack Off, that this Pokemon can heal up a little bit of damage, which is really good as well. So, you can use it very defensively with Regenerator, Leftover, Slack Off, but you can also use it pretty offensively with Weakness Policy Dynamax. So, yeah, that's the build we went with today, but you definitely have different options for the boy Slowking. Anyway, so as far as our moves go for this set, we ran Expanding Force, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, Trick Room. So it's essentially just dual stab, and then since we're going to max a lot, Trick Room will become max guard, which is very good for it. But otherwise, it's also just like powerful Trick Room. Also, another really cool option for this Pokemon is since you want to max it a lot of the time, Trick Room becomes max guard. So you can go for a max guard with Trick Room underneath, and then something like Riolu with Prankster, Copycat. We've seen that with Leopard as well, being able to Prankster Copycat the Trick Room to become, you get priority Trick Room, which is very good. And then you max guard. You waste one of your turns, but like you got Trick Room off guaranteed, so it's pretty fine. Other than that, I think it's pretty solid. Dual stab, Trick Room, and then one move of choice, which is Ice Beam, just so we can hit, Dragapult for super effective damage and Pokemon like that, which just makes it really good. So yeah, that's about it for the move set. We do have a lot of flexible moves that you can use since the move set is very, very customizable. So we have Scald that you can use instead of Hydro Pump. If you don't think you're gonna max it very frequently, then you definitely want Scald or Surf, which could be a good option as well. Like especially if you run like Astron Surf, like that could be really cool. Psychic instead of Expanding Force if you're just looking for that single targeting that doesn't have to be in the terrain. Then we also have Flamethrower, which is just like, good coverage. And then Surf, like I mentioned, mostly for the Gastrodon, but also, for spread move, which can be good. We have Yawn, Slack Off, and Imprison and Protect, which are all also very good. Imprison, Trick Room, Protect could be really strong, but then you only have room for like one move, really. So I don't think it works perfectly on this Pokemon, but, I've seen some Pokemon get a lot of success with Trick Room, Protect, Imprison, one move. So, it could work. And then Slack Off and Yawn are both really good. Yawn's just really good in the meta because of Dynamax, how big it is. We're seeing a lot less, Max Thunder, so it's pretty good. Really, just like Lapras and Duraludon are commonly having that. And then, things like that are just electric mons, of course, as well. And then next we have Slack Off, which is just a good move for this Pokemon. Just giving it 50% HP back is really good. And after Trick Room, you're really fast, so it can be really good for this Pokemon. As far as our EV spread goes, we went really basic. We just went 252 into HP, 252 into special attack. For a lot of, like weakness policy Trick Room sweepers, you want to just do this. Since our attack is like pretty mediocre anyway, we went with invest into special attack. You could definitely go a little bit into defense or special defense, but I just wanted to be as offensive as possible with weakness policy since the HP at 252 and Dynamax would typically let us live an attack so that we can get weakness policy up or active and then start swinging, which is just really good. So yeah, I think it's pretty solid, just quiet, 252, 252. It makes a lot of sense for this mon, but like I said, you can definitely go in a little on defense. As far as our synergetic Pokemon go, we have two listed here. Both are really good. First off, we have Indeedee. Follow Me is really good, as well as setting the Psychic Terrain being really good. Getting rid of Fake Out, you can't be taunted, so, like Trick Room is just like very likely to happen. With all of those things happening, they can't Fake Out and taunt you. They can't taunt you, period, which is really good. So, yeah, I think Indeedee, it makes for a perfect synergy. And then we also have Gastrodon here, mostly for that Surf Trick Room. Like I was saying, you set up Trick Room, turn 1 with Slowking. This was something that has seen like a little bit of success in the past, but now, due to like Dynamax and like, Psychic Terrain being so easily accessible, it's pretty hard to get that off very frequently. Also, we have Rillaboom like running rampant in this meta, so yeah, it's not great right now. Anyway, that is going to be it for this set. Let's move on to some speed tiers. I've been talking a lot for this, so we're going to go a little bit faster. So we are at the speed tier 31, which is pretty good, but at the same time kind of bad because we're just barely outsped by Pokemon like Hatterene, Dusclops, Torkoal, Ferrothorn, but still being at 31 for a Trick Room Pokemon is not that bad. We are hitting the same speed tier as Snorlax and Reuniclus, although Snorlax will usually have more speed. Reuniclus will most likely be 0 speed most of the time. And then we also have Pokemon like Clefairy, Gastron, Rhyperior, Conkeldurr outspeeding barely outspeeding us initially. And then once we have Trick Room set up, we are outspeeding all of them, which is, why we use Trick Room. Anyway, that is going to be it for speed tiers. I tried to keep that section brief. Let's talk about damage calcs. So, damage calcs, we do shine. We live a lot of attacks, but we also dish out a really good amount of damage a lot of the time. So first off, we have Dragapult Max Phantasm from Max Invested Life Orb Dynamaxed Dragapult into our Slowking, hitting 81 to 96% if we're Dynamaxed, which is a guaranteed 2-hit KO. It's a lot of damage, and if they use anything like multi-targeting or even like, Rillaboom like Grassy Glide, then we're a little bit in trouble. But, it can be really powerful to live that first attack and then set Trick Room, but we're not going to set Trick Room. That would be like if we use Max Guard Riolu or something. So yeah, it's a good damage calc to have though. Next we have Rillaboom Woodhammer in grassy terrain into our Slowking, Dynamax Slowking. It's hitting 84 to 106. Obviously if it max drum beatings or whatever that's called, it's going to kill us. But, you know, even like at Dynamax, it's going to Oko pretty safely. Next, we have Rillaboom Grassy Glide in Grassy Terrain into our Dynamax Slowking, hitting 49 to 58. I wanted to keep this Dynamax or this damage calc as well because I think it's really important. Because if you're in the late game, mid to late game, and you still have like a turn of Dynamax and they bring in Rillaboom, if you're over about 60%, you're pretty safe from the Grassy Glide. So that's pretty good to have. Next, we have Tyranitar Max Darkness into our Slowking. Tyranitar Max Darkness Adamant Max Invested into the Slowking. Dynamax Slowking hitting 74 to 87. With Sandstorm damage, we're still guaranteed to live that, which is very good. Next, we have Slowking Expanding Force into a pretty common spread of Amoonguss, 252 HP and 100 plus special defense. We are hitting 79 to 95, which is very, very close to taking that Oko. Not enough, though, with that Expanding Force, but with Helping Hand, which indeed he does have, we can hit 120 to 142%, which is guaranteed Oko against Amoonguss, which is very, very strong, and likely a lot of damage to, its partner Pokemon. Next, we have Special Attacking Slowking Max Geyser into a pretty common spread for Incineroar, 236 HP, 108 plus special defense. We are hitting 97 to 115, which is an 81% chance to Oko. Luckily, a lot of Incineroars are moving to a more physical defensive, mostly due to things like Cinderace and like Tyranitar just being so big in the meta. We are seeing Incineroar switch a little bit more bulk in the defensive area, so, Max Geyser can likely take an Oko, which is very good. Anyway, that is going to be it for damage calcs. Let's move on to single spotlight real quick for this Pokemon. I don't foresee this Pokemon being very used in single spotlight or in singles in general, just because it's not that great. Leftovers, Regenerator, Slack Off is pretty good, but it should be doing something as well, and being a really good pivot for special defense or any special attacker. A very good special wall that can just wall out and then teleport out to take an attack for a damage to bring in a Pokemon pretty safely. And then Slack Off is pretty good. Scald for some damage, and same with Ice Beam for damage as well. And then, Scald can also hit burns, which is just very good. And then for a spread, we just went 252 into HP and special defense, and then Calm Nature, just so that we can be a perfect special defensive wall that Slowking can just, go in, teleport out, chill, Slack Off if you need. Like, Slowking, it has some good tools, but, in theory, it's not as strong as, a lot of other Pokemon that could fill that void on your team. So, in sum up, Slowking is pretty cool. It has some really good tactics and some really good stuff. I think it has the potential to be a really strong, I can't talk. It has the potential to be a very strong Trick Room sweeper, but Slowking, it falls a little bit short. We have a lot of Rillabooms everywhere. Changing our terrain is not good. Grass is just pretty important right now anyway. Rillaboom and Gmax Venusaur are very, very rampant in the meta, and Whimsicott's everywhere as well. Most of them won't have Energy Ball, but it is, an option. So it's definitely something that you want to keep in mind. So yeah, Slowking, it doesn't have the best time in the meta currently, but I think the Pokemon is pretty promising and has some really good synergies. Anyway, that is going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, go down to the comment section right now and comment something. Say, hey, nice vid. Say whatever you want. Whatever. Comment, like, subscribe, do all of those things. It makes a huge difference. Join me on Discord. Follow me on Twitter. Do all of those things. It's only 5 things. That's not that many things. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great next 2 months, and goodbye.